Hello, it's lovely to talk to you again. As you can see, I'm still holed up in my little workroom here, but you know, there are worse places to be. Anyway, since I spoke to you last week in the newsletter, we had a number of inquiries asking for a bit more information about the beaded edges that I did on those little brooches. You know, I used a blanket stitch and throwed a bead on with every stitch. And apparently that's new to some people and they like a bit more detail. So if you scroll down, if you read down in today's newsletter, you'll see some little video clips that I hope will make all of that process quite clear. But you know, there's a lot more potential to what seems to be a very simple technique. And if I just show you, I don't want to dismiss the idea of the beaded brooches because they are quite addictive once you start, because it's such a doable little project, isn't it? So tiny that you can sit and you can achieve a finished object. And this one has not only got a beaded edge, it's got a little dangly shape as well. So you get a little bit of kind of movement and animation when you wear it. But you can scale the idea up. So if I just show you this little beaded purse, I've got all sorts of techniques going on with this. There's applique and free motion quilting, there's bits of leather applied, and it's a felt base. But the top, I've added this little beaded edge, and in the instructions I refer to seed beads, but these are quite sizable beads. So obviously you can go, whatever your project involves, you can scale them up to suit. And then going even to a slightly larger project, got this little triangular bag that we made this, I think, for a project for the Quilting Arts magazine a long time ago. And the opening edge to the triangular hanging bag here is all beaded. And I've used those little cube shaped beads because they sit very nicely on an edge. And I've used colours that complement the colours of the applique and the fabric painting. And then going bigger still, one of my cushions here, which has just the top edge and parts of the side beaded, and it's also got this long dangly chain with a little thread tassel at the end. And it's quite good fun, I think, to look at the colours that are involved in your project. So we've got the colour of the fabric, we've got fabric paint, we've got some foil on here that's been transferred, bits of stitch, you know, hand stitch as well as the machine quilting stitch. And so the tassel involves the threads that I've used in the main body of the cushion, and the beads are picking out the darker reds and the olive greens of the fabrics and the fabric paint. So there's one. Moving on, here's another one of my cushions here, and again similar idea. This one is beaded on all four sides and again has got little thread tassels at the corners, and the colours of these beads are reflecting the colours seen again in the fabric painting and in the stitch, the quilting that the cushion involves. But you know, if you get the bug and you like the idea of working with these embellishments and using some beads, you could go even bigger. So the quilt behind me here, I've quilted it really very densely so that the whole surface is very firm. And then, I hope you can see, I've cut apertures. So there are big areas between the branches here, cut away completely, right the way through the quilt. And I've done that to represent the space that you see, perspective and distance through the branches of a tree. Then within the apertures that I've created, not only is the edge of the quilt sealed with a bit of paint to keep those edges from fraying, but I've suspended little leaf shapes and fruit shapes with beaded chains, and the little leaf shapes are made by cutting again. I've cannibalised some quilt that I've made in the past, I think. Cut those shapes and beaded every edge to give them that nice little gleam. And mostly I've used black beads for that because it kind of links with the colour scheme of the quilt and brings the whole thing together. On the single little pair here, which has got some gold foil on it as well, so it gleams, I've used a coppery coloured little bead to that. And then I've got a big red moon here, And my moon is again beaded all the way around, but this time I've used the cube shaped black beads. So I've got that consistency of colour but a slight change of size and shape. So, you know, I hope that's giving you some ideas about the potential uses that you could take this very simple little technique and apply them to your work, whatever the item happens to be. So I hope that's given you some ideas, and thanks for listening to me here today. I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.